On the refrigerator, there's a note. If something were to happen to us, you call this person, and then you call our advisor.
Whew.
You want to be on that list.
Welcome into Impactful Conversations, stories and lessons for financial advisors. I'm your host, Dave Edgecombe. Joining me, an old favorite, longtime favorite, friend of the show, Alex House, Chief Marketing Officer here at Impact Partnership. Alex, it's been a long time.
It has been. I'm excited to be here.
You've been on maternity leave. Congratulations.
Thanks.
We're thrilled to have you quasi back for the time being. And I know you've got a busy schedule upcoming, speaking at a women's conference in Boston the next month or so. That's going to be a great opportunity to kind of expand the brand and get your message out there and also meet some other females in finance, which will be really exciting.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to that.
I will say, so those of you that have listened to the pod before know that Alex and I used to share a cubicle wall at Old Impact. At our new gorgeous facility, we now share a glass window.
It's great.
You watch me edit. She
I
sits
do.
right behind me, and
My face is always on your computer.
I edit a lot of things that Alex is involved in, and so she sees this. And now that you're not there, foot traffic to your office has slowed down tremendously.
You feeling lonely?
You know what? Yes.
Okay.
But I do still write on your window.
Of course you do. I'll be back. Don't worry.
Have you seen what we've written on there?
No.
Okay. This has been Impactful Conversations. Oh, no, I'm just joking. Okay. But no, the reason we brought you in here, and it's because you're a wealth of knowledge, especially for financial advisors that are trying to grow their practice. And 2025 has gotten off to an interesting start. President Trump's been busy first couple of months in office, and I hesitate to say that it's been instability. That's been kind of the theme, but what have you kind of picked up on as 2025 has unrolled and, financial advisors are trying to stay ahead of whatever comes next?
Yeah, I think anytime we have this change of administration and these big disruptors or potential disruptors happening or on the horizon, people just feel a little unsteady. And what that creates is an opportunity for financial advisors to help be the calm in the storm, help be the beacon of information that maybe you don't or shouldn't receive from headlines or news articles where you don't really know which way to really understand the information. And so what it's caused our advisors to really do is be there for their prospects and clients, continue to educate and provide that maybe steady feeling or confidence into the future that maybe feels a little unconfident or a little questionable these days.
Before we started rolling, I kind of thought, is it like, 2009 type of a feel to it? And you said, no, it's really kind of like COVID, where it's not, it's just what's going to happen next.
Right.
Do you have a crystal ball? Did you bring it?
I left it at home, but I didn't charge it. So
it's one of those newfangled ones that charges.
I'll report back. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Oh, we'll have you back on the pod next month. We book a new guest. That's what I like to see. You're getting closer to that punch card of a new sandwich.
Yes.
Closer.
Goals.
But we really wanted to bring you in here to talk some stats because this is a numbers game.
Mm-hmm.
As much as I don't like numbers, but they speak volumes. And this concept of the horizontal wealth transfer and $9 trillion in the next few years will be going from spouse to spouse. So not going to the next generation, but staying intragenerational is how it was termed. What do you make of that? I mean, what does that mean for a financial advisor when things are going sort of laterally and not down the line?
They're so used to it going, down the line to the next kin. And it's different because, I hate to say it, but the men are dying sooner in the relationship. Are you okay?
I'm okay for right now.
Okay.
But I'm still a young man.
We'll check back.
Okay.
And so what we see is that when this happens and either they're getting divorced or their spouse is passing away, then the other spouse is taking over that entire management of their finances. And traditionally, it's been a man's game, right? The man is leading the charge and managing the finances for their entire life. And then all of a sudden, the women are getting this responsibility. And that is, very different. That's something that we're going to see really continue to evolve over the next couple of years. Like you said, that entire wealth transfer, trillions of dollars, that's a huge opportunity for advisors for support in educating, because what we see is that there's a huge stat of women who leave their financial advisor after their spouse passes away.
Yeah, I mean, you're beating me to it, but 3 out of 4 widowed women leave their financial advisor within 1 year of that spouse passing away. I
Yeah.
mean, that's for any financial advisor, that's gotta be a real jarring stat to hear.
That's scary because see that most advisors are still working with couples. And so a majority of your clients could leave you. And it just goes to show that you've really got to have that conversation with both parties in the relationship, right? Not just with one-sided, whether it's male or female. Make sure that both teams or the team is being considered a team and not an individual. There's an advisor who told us that they actually do their quote unquote interview or that assessment in separate rooms. And so you get that raw feedback of, what does it mean for you from retirement and not that joint conversation as the relationship is. It's that individual conversation. So they know exactly how to speak to you across the appointment table.
Yeah, when I heard that example of what that advisor is doing, I thought, boy, that's like before you get married.
Yeah.
Like in the Catholic Church, especially,
Oh
they bring
yeah.
you into separate rooms and they ask you those questions and they want to make sure that everyone's on the same page and
Hmm.
everyone kind of has the same goals. Is there anything else? I mean, would you tell another advisor, hey, I've got a great idea for you? Have you tried splitting the couple? Do you
Yeah.
like that idea for an advisor to try and adopt in their practice?
I do if the advisor is comfortable in changing maybe their process that way. They might be super comfortable and they already have that under their belt in terms of being able to speak the language at the same room, at the same table to both people in the room. But if you're trying to, feel a little bit different or start a new process, that might be something to try and understand exactly, what the individual is saying and not the couple itself.
I've got another stat. Not good for the men. This is sort of
It's not a great
downlifting.
podcast for
Yeah,
you.
not great to start, but we'll turn it around. I swear. 80% of married men die before their spouse.
Hmm. It's
Not
big.
great. It's big, and it speaks to that same idea that when a financial advisor is across the table from a couple, it can't be I'm talking to one person and there's a third person sitting there.
Yep.
It's you're talking to two people, right?
Hmm.
Is it how important is it for both people to be able to sort of grab the wheel and understand their finances?
Yeah, that's why a lot of advisors, if the spouse can't come to the appointment, they'll reschedule because they need to have all the conversations together. I go through this with my personal finances and our advisor. My parents do the same way. My mom actually is the one that's run the finances in our family my entire life. She's 71 years old, so she's the exact demo that we're talking about. And so what we see is that this is a conversation that always needs to happen together because if all of a sudden your spouse passes away one day and your finances are dumped on you. Now you're navigating Medicare finances or any type of medical expenses that you've now burdened with. You've got to understand how to do that. And that all comes down to education, working with the right advisor that can maybe speak that language to you, but then also deliver the information you need so you can understand it as well.
Yeah, another stat. I mean, my good, I'm loaded with them today, but the average healthcare cost for the retired couple is $300,000 over the course of their retirement lifespan,
Mhm.
as long as they're retired. I mean, that's a big number, and it includes Medicare premiums and deductibles and non-covered prescriptions. But it's also it doesn't say which spouse. It
Right.
just says this is going to happen over the course of your retirement life. And again, the ability for either partner to be able to take the wheel in their finances and understand it is so crucial. Does it require a financial advisor to change anything with their delivery or make sure that both parties know what they're talking about when they walk out of the office?
I think it makes it important for the advisor to be one of the first people that spouse calls. There's an advisor that always tells a story that on the refrigerator, there's a note. If something were to happen to us, you call this person, and then you call our advisor. You
Whew.
want to be on
Top
that
three. Top
list.
three, yeah.
Yeah, you want to be on that list because not only can you help them navigate that and be there for them, but you can also make sure that spouse is set up for success because now they're going through and not even talking about finances, they're going through this traumatic life experience of losing their spouse after so many years that they need somebody that they can rely on. So you want to position yourself as that person. You want to be that top three.
There is another shift that's happening, and again, it's with finance. It's females in finance and who's controlling the assets. Right now, women control $10 trillion. By 2030, that's expected to jump to 30 trillion. Again,
Wild.
it's with a T, but it's also 3 times higher. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a massive number.
Yep.
It's tough to wrap your head around, but it's speaks volume to how much things are going to change within the next 5 years.
Mhm.
A financial advisor hearing that needs to do what?
They need to speak the language to not only the entire generation of people who are heading towards retirement, but also women who are retiring. There's probably more divorces going on and less getting married afterwards as well. But then also, there's a lot of single women out there who didn't get married. And so, how do you speak to their language so they can understand that and they feel empowered to make the decisions for their future? And so, there's a great opportunity that is really uh, huge for every advisor, male or female advisors, to speak to this demographic who is going to control so much of this.
I wasn't planning on speaking about the D word today,
Mm,
divorce, but I did. So I don't have this precisely right, but it was above 50%. I mean, it was a big number of couples above the age of 50 getting divorced. I feel like a lot of times divorce is associated with younger couples and newer norms and traditions.
yep.
Well, those norms and traditions have also grown, and now they are in retirement. They're of retirement age where they don't see a stigma with getting divorced, and
Right.
they're getting divorced. And all of a sudden, your one client just turned into two clients. How are
Yep.
you going to handle that?
Yep.
So, do you have sort of a playbook for, I guess, what an advisor needs to be prepared for in case of a couple getting divorced in their retirement?
I think it's having that conversation, understanding their separate wants and needs for retirement before that even happens and having that somewhere in their file. But then also making sure you're treating them equally. There's going to be some hard feelings between the couple and let that be their problem, right? Your responsibility as the advisor is to be there for both of them so they can navigate. Again, going back to that conversation of they're going through something pretty traumatizing with each other. So how do you just be that easy example of somebody who's there for them to help them navigate this and get them to each where they need to be separately.
You said the word equal there, which I think brings up a really fascinating point. And bear with me, I'm going to try and make a parallel here. So, I feel like with a lot of certain brands where they're skewing to a younger demo, it's how do we talk to young kids?
Mhm.
How is Taco Bell going to talk to young kids? How do we reach this demo of, 18 to 35 male and putting all their resources towards that? But conversely, you hear $10 trillion today growing to $30 trillion for females in control of assets, and that shift, and not necessarily viewing them as I need to change what I'm doing. It's
Right.
I need to treat them equally. I don't need to try and reinvent the wheel to try and talk to a woman because she's now in control of the purse strings.
Right.
It's I need to treat her as I would treat anybody.
Right. I'm a female, so I want the same information that my male spouse has. So we need the same information. Maybe the delivery is, a little bit different or something to help me understand it differently because we just learn differently. But at the same time, I still want the information.
Yeah, we have one of our advisors who is a female out in California, and she's very passionate about this. And I've heard her talk to me and to other advisors as well about how she changes her approach a little bit when she talks to women, but ultimately it's to empower them
Hmm.
and to get them feeling comfortable and confident because she feels that these are conversations that they've been excluded from. It's
Yeah.
almost like you have to play catch up
Right.
a little bit. Do you find that when women finally are empowered and kind of feel like they're in control of their finances, that things change for them? Like, is that sort of a light bulb pivotal moment for some of the couples?
Absolutely. I mean, it's helping them feel confident about their future that if this were to happen to me or my spouse, do I feel comfortable able to navigate that? Do I have the tools that I need to be able to move forward in life? Because yeah, I'm still living. I want to make sure that I thrive in my golden years, my retirement years. And so I think it just helps them feel that confidence level that gives everybody wants that, right? They want that peace of mind going into that what if scenario.
I've got another stat because, again,
Here we
loaded
go.
with them. Women refer clients 3 times more likely than men.
We love talking to people.
I mean, I feel like I can just jump to a conclusion of why that happens, but I don't want to stick my foot in my mouth. So I'll ask you, Why do you think that is?
I think we have a little bit of a different approach when we're talking to other, maybe female friends or other couple friends, where it doesn't feel as something as that you have to shy away from.
Mhm.
Most people don't really talk about finances when you're having wine or you're playing your next mahjong game, but it does.
Whoa, do we just date this podcast a little
I don't know. Hey,
bit? You're
mahjong's making a
playing
comeback.
gin rummy with the gang, am I right?
Anyways, but I think the stigma there isn't for us to hide it as females. When we experience something great, whether it's an amazing advisor or amazing experience, or they heard me, the first thing I want to go to is I want to go tell somebody about it. I
Mhm.
want to, brag about my experience or let somebody know about it. And so that referral piece is critical here because we are more likely to have that maybe evolved conversation than our male counterparts.
So you're gonna be attending and speaking at a conference that's dedicated for females in finance and what that means for the future. And I think it's really important for advisors to be aware of it, but also there is sort of this elephant in the room of, okay, women are gonna be controlling a lot of money. It's a male dominated industry.
Mhm.
About less than 25% of CFPs are female. And I guess this is twofold, and there's two parts to this, but are women, are female financial advisors better suited for what's going to happen in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Not necessarily. They have an advantage for sure because women tend to learn from women better. They speak a language that, only they really know. And it's a different learning process that we go through. But at the same time, the male advisors have this tremendous opportunity ahead of them too. It's just changing or evolving how you have these conversations to speak to this demographic that maybe you didn't speak to as much previously. But I think the opportunity is there both for male and female advisors.
Do you like it? I hesitate to say, do you like the opportunity better for females? But are there female financial advisors that need to seize this opportunity?
Oh, absolutely. Again, like if I'm thinking of who I learn from or who I understand things from, I typically learn things a little bit better from a female counterpart or a female leader. There's a reason that all these, books out there from these women who are climbing the ranks, these CEOs who are now controlling these massive organizations, are speaking to the next generation of women on how to grow. And so the same thing goes here, where you have that same language that you're using. And so there's a huge opportunity for these female advisors that I think is pretty incredible. And so take advantage of that to be able to serve these people that maybe aren't currently getting served.
Do you think a male financial advisor needs to change their approach tremendously?
Not necessarily. It just depends on, are you having that conversation with both parties, or do you find yourself always gravitating towards the male in the room? And so if you do, then try asking or pausing for a second and saying, "Hey, how do you feel about that? Did that make sense? Where do you want to go from there?" And getting them involved in the conversation and just, watching how you have your appointments and how you have that conversation and maybe just opening it up a little bit more.
We've shot a couple of house rules that you star in,
Thank you.
as for, yeah, it's high praise. Like and subscribe, and they've been female focused events. We did a Valentine's Day
Mhm.
one that I know is near and dear, and that you are really passionate about that opportunity for both male and female advisors. And then also we've done one with some of these and showcase some of these similar stats about the need to host events geared towards women
Mhm.
specifically, and some of the things that you can do from a color scheme and the messaging and really controlling that, but taking advantage of that opportunity. Is there anything else that you sort of see on the horizon, as from an events perspective, I guess, of what an advisor can do, male or female, to sort of capitalize on that, shift that's undergoing and ongoing?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about referrals earlier. Yes, I'm more likely to probably bring 3 girlfriends with me to an event, and then I will my spouse if it's directed towards something that I want to do. We all have different likes and desires of when I get out of the house, what I wanna go do, and so, think about what would your female staff wanna do, put them in charge of creating an opportunity to reach this demographic and have them invite friends. That's your huge referral opportunity. Something that necessarily wouldn't get get the heads to turn for the men in the world. You can still speak to them, whether it's other opportunities, whether it's golf and things like that, but maybe think about, changing up your events this year that would maybe bring a little bit of a different demographic. There's a huge opportunity for, girls' night out talking about wine or these movies. There was a movie a couple years ago with Jane Fonda and her girlfriends, and they are retired, and I forget what it's
What is
called.
it, the Tom Brady
Maybe
movie?
that's what it was. It was actually it was really cute. And so creating those opportunities that, they want to bring their friends and not necessarily their spouse.
I'm glad you've mentioned the events. They're a great resource. Our Impact Partnership YouTube channel is littered with house rules, selling with stories, and other podcasts, impactful conversations included, that can be a real resource for financial advisors, not just female, not just male, but kind of across all spectrums. That said, you've got a really exciting opportunity coming your way. You're going to be taking the show on the road and going up to Boston for a conference. Tell me a little bit more about what you got going on, because I just simply don't see you enough anymore.
Yeah. So we'll be at the Invest in Women conference in April, which we're really excited about. This is just an opportunity for us to be around hundreds of female advisors and people who run the practices all around the country and hear from them on what they're experiencing within their practice. But what we're really excited about is bringing the power of media and how this will really affect, these female advisors on how to move forward with everything we just talked about and how to utilize media in that way. We are going to be talking about podcasting, radio, television, and not only how to, of course, create more lead opportunities, but how do you really define your brand and your voice that maybe you haven't tried just yet? And we're in this space right now where information is everywhere, right? It's at our fingertips. We can go online. Now we can go on Instagram or Facebook and get information from people there. Well, this information is not necessarily what we want out there because they're not licensed advisors. And so what we're going to teach these advisors to do is really, how do you cut through some of that noise and make sure you're the reliable source? How do you become the voice that they rely on within your community? How do you make sure that you're the person that they call when something does happen? You're on that the three list of the first people you call, and using the power of media, because media is such a great tool for creating a brand, creating an audience that necessarily wasn't getting to you in the first place, but then also creating an opportunity to be the education in your community. We talked about it a lot. Education hasn't really been the forefront in this industry previously, especially for these women clientele. And so we're going to talk a lot about how to really make sure that your voice is heard and how do you stand out from any competition.
You know this, and I've seen this in my short time in this industry. It's introducing media has been the catalyst for a lot of our top advisors. So I'm
Yep.
excited that you're gonna, like I said, take the show on the road and really, hopefully open some people up to the concept of media and what it can do for your practice, both from a lead gen, but also from a brand awareness and brand stability standpoint. So thank you so much once again. I've got one more stat, and it's a sad one. This podcast, 100% over.
Oh, womp womp.
Womp womp. But we're going to go play a game of Mahjong when we get out of here. So we're going to have a lot
Kick
of
your
fun.
butt.
Probably. I don't even know if it's a real game. You might have made that up. But Alex, again, thank you so much. And we'll see you next time.